Okay, friends, so as we have completed this session, I just want to find out from you, do you understand the practicality of God calling us to raise disciples and not just converts? Are there any questions you have at this time? Practical questions. How do you do this? How does that work? How does this work? Eloise?
Hi, Pastor. Yes, so you mentioned in your last story where you spoke about the delinquent young bull elephants and how important a father role is in a discipleship relationship. And I understand that the story may not necessarily just focus on male figures.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you've seen the statistics in our Adventist community where most of our Adventist community or members are females. And we see so much of mothers who go to church alone with the children and mothers who are training up their children to adore God and bring them to Jesus.
Yeah.
So my question is, why is, and it's just a from my experience, there's so much emphasis that I see being put on women's ministries, nurturing our women, our young women, our older women.
Yeah.
But I find that there's so little emphasis on men's ministries. And I can't understand why it's like that when we know how important a
Yes.
male figure is in our
Yeah.
children's lives and our young adults, adolescents as well.
So, excellent question there, Eloise. You are so right. We have our issues as males. I think we generally do not want to discuss things. We feel vulnerable when some of those things are spoken about. But definitely, we need to get into that space. If we are serious, we need to then be able to pass that on to the next generation. They find statistics and research shows that if the father figure is absent, there's a lot of things that happen to kids. There's greater delinquency, there's more drugs that they take, there's joblessness, there's abuse. All of those things come in because a dad is not available. There's something that a dad does, and obviously, I'm speaking from a male perspective, but there's also the power of a mom. But I'm saying that spiritual person that is able to help the next generation come up. I often realize that many times people would complain about the youth don't do this, the youth don't do that. But we have not taken that ability to sit down with the youth and say, so why don't we walk this journey for the next year? Let me work with you, let me pray with you, let me get into your life and into your space. But it's easy to just say how we're missing each other, but that takes time and commitment, and I really think it's important for us to do that. Now, friends, I did not outline. Let me just give you one insight here that I didn't fully outline in the talk. And one of them, if we are serious about a discipleship movement, we definitely have to look at a lay-driven church. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that the church cannot be really pastor dependent. Most of our churches are pastor dependent. I had statements that I just had to hide, where Ellen White says, do not hang your troubles on the pastor. Don't let the pastors drive and lead the churches. We're dependent on the pastors, and the church members become weaklings. And so one of the things, and Russell Burrell, and I'm trying to see if I have the book here on me, but it's somewhere around here. Russell Burrell, check out some of his books. He has some excellent books. One of them, he says, is that we must empower the lay people according to their spiritual gifts. So he says, instead of having a nominating committee where you have a nominating committee and you have all the names that must be filled. So I'm saying you're an elder, so I'm going to look for an elder. So I'm working that way around. You must help the institution around. He says a better way is the other way, where you start with a membership list and you work with the members and say, who are the members in the church and how can we empower them to do ministries, because that is how God actually structured the church. He structured according to spiritual gifts. And so when we begin unlocking that aspect and sitting down with members and say, I see this, tell me about your ministry, what are your interests, then you arrange training for them, you help them, you empower them, you just drive that forward, and you unlock what God has put within your midst. Are we creating a discipleship movement because lay people are now empowered to take the reins of ministry and go to the next thing? Many of them don't work because they say, I don't know how to do it because my pastor's supposed to do that. But that's not God's design. There's a lot of things we have to do differently if we are serious about being faithful to the commission of raising disciples and not just converts. So, and please, friends, I want to be available there. Let's have those conversations. We ourselves have looked at a number of things. We've looked at how we've been doing church, and we said we want to do things that's in line with the principles in the book of Acts. What does God say? What are the really valuable principles that must drive each church? And that's going to be, and we've been discussing that, and we've been looking at this as church members and how we can raise our next disciples and raise the next and raise the next. So we have been going through that for the past couple of months, and we'd be happy to share some of those things with you. But I think time is against us. You can engage me one-on-one if you want to get some of those insights. Okay, any maybe we'll have two more and then we'll wrap up, and then we're done with our whole training on retention and discipleship. Any questions? Okay, it seems like this may be new to some of you in the setting that I have spoken about. Maybe there's a lot of thought that must go into things and say, how are we going to do this differently? And see how the Lord will guide and lead. But I think it's so enriching if we come from the mindset of raising disciples and bringing them into the faith. So may God bless you. Okay, I see one hand, and maybe this will be the final one. Daniel, if you can give your question, and then we'll end.
Thank you, Pastor Shandro, for the opportunity, and thank you so much for the presentations as well. I've been through all 3 of the days, and I have richly enjoyed it. The reason I joined in the first place was I am conducting a Bible study, or facilitating a Bible study that I had started during my university days. Well, I'm still at university, but during my undergrad. And I've reached a point where I finished one particular set of series, which was the 28 fundamental beliefs. And I wanted to look to how can I plan for what the next phase is going to be. But I also wanted to learn more about, or when I saw the advertisement for the discipleship seminar that we're having now, it piqued my interest because it was right after the time that I had finished mine, and in between the time that I was going to start with something new. So these have really been a blessing for me. And my question is, so I am a full-time working employee. I am studying honors. I'm a married man, and I've got 40 people on the Bible study group that I am facilitating. Reaching out to 40 people plus managing all the other WhatsApp messages is not a very easy task. And over the months, the attendance has dropped to very little in terms of the live sessions. I normally have one live session per week, and then I send out summaries on the WhatsApp group. Most of the people, yes, are people that I have simply invited, but there are a few who have been regular attendees although this has gradually dropped. So what would your advice be for a situation like this where one wants to increase one's footage? And I am expanding to have a greater presence on YouTube, on Facebook, and then I'm opening a YouTube account as well. But how can one keep in touch on a personal level with the
Yeah.
individuals such that even if they aren't physically attending, they can at least maybe, for example, read the summaries and be strengthened by those? How can one manage a large footprint like this?
Yeah, Daniel, very interesting question, and thank you for asking that. The goal, as we said, is for disciples not only to know about the faith. So they may read your summaries, but once they've read it, so what? Are you with me? And then you kind of ask the question, now what? So what are they going to do after that? Do you and that discipleship is a deeper thing where you have to get into the person's space, where you may have to find that certain things are blocking in their Christian walk that is unwholesome for them. And so one of the things you could possibly do, and I realize that many the book that I shared with you guys early on, I find that a number of people have not been discipled themselves. It could be that you ask your church members to buy the resource, and you can get it from the personal ministries department. It's about 50 Rand for a book. Buy it for your church members and get them in groups of 2. Let them go through it themselves so that they can learn how to disciple others. Then maybe run certain things and say, so this is what you do. This is how it would work. And then those become the workforce, in a sense, that can help other people when you bring in the larger numbers, Daniel. So discipleship really is a group activity. It sounds to me, and I may be wrong because I don't have all the information from your side, that you are working, but it seems, I don't know if you have a team around you, because if you're doing this and you're doing all of those things, discipleship is actually a group thing. You should supposed to be one must help in this one, another one will help, and then you also have the individual component where you will be raising one person, but there's also a group component where the other people are helping towards harvesting people and nurturing them as well. So I think there's more conversations that you and I could have outside of this meeting with regard to some of those things. But I think your goal is not to only want to tell people about the good news, and that may be a component to it, but maybe you can engage with this audience and ask them questions that will lead them to the next thing, where they want to go to some deeper level of discipleship and growth. And that's where you may want to have a team that can take maybe one person will take 2 or 3 and engage with them and find out how things are, until eventually you could actually meet one day. It may initially be online, but you want to help them and empower them on those practical things, and that happens through personal contact and personal attention. Okay, but let's engage some more. Do you have my number? I think I'll again put my number in the group, and then you can speak to me about that. So I see Anastacia. Okay, that will definitely be our last one, because today is our final session. Anastacia, do you want to just wrap up?
Okay, thank you, Pastor. Good evening, everyone. My question basically is just about, Pastor, when we distribute literature and things like that, I just want to ask the fact that sometimes we get said what to do, and yes, we don't want to go against maybe the elders when they tell us you only do this section. But now you ask the elders, like, can I give, if I see someone walking on the road, can I give this person a package? And is it possible I can take the person's number? So you are being restricted. I mean, if you are doing discipleship, I think there's no restriction on spreading the word of Christ to people. So what should we do in a situation like that, where you are being told, no, you cannot give someone that's walking on the road because you are allocated for a certain street and there are so X amount of houses in that street. So what do you do in a situation like that? And also on last week, on the first week's topic you spoke, you said that we need to get the members involved, and especially where someone coming, let's say from a camp meeting, and they were baptized and they are coming into the church. Many people, when they don't feel welcome in the church, they tend to, after a while, leave the church, like you said, and you told us what we should do. But when you want to address the members of the church about this, like how they should welcome the new members into the church, you are told that you are not allowed to speak on that platform. So what do you do in a situation like that?
You're asking me tough questions, eh? And the questions, okay. And let me try to answer it simply. And so the first one is, if an elder says you can't engage with someone, sometimes there may just be practicalities involved. Let's say you have 200 books and you can only give out to so many, and he says just stick to the side. I think there's a practical component to that. I don't think he's saying you can't ever do something like that we say you can't do. But I'm talking of a deeper discipleship relationship that you may have to spend more time in praying, and that God is going to guide you. No one's going to be telling you must do this or you do that. So you clearly kind of walk in the line where God has opened this, or is directing you and he's impressing you, and so you're definitely doing it from that perspective. Then I think your second one is, it's very difficult when you come after something as exciting as what we've been going through the past 3 weeks, and then you want to start making changes and the elders don't see the need and all of that. So there's importance of maybe engaging. Maybe I can engage with your pastors. Maybe we can speak about things and run a seminar. But it must be done with the board members first. Normally, I tell the guys, I don't want to work with your church members until I have the pastor and the elders on board and the management team. Otherwise, there's a lot of things that will not happen. The elders will not support it. They must first buy into something. And from there you can then take it to the next level and work with them. But yeah, and so you have to ask God to give you wisdom to do it sensitively, so that you deal with it in a way that doesn't show them up and say, you guys don't know anything about ministry, let me tell you how. So there's ways and means of doing it to encourage them, and maybe ask leading questions and then refer them to some resources. Have you checked this out? Have you considered this? How can we do this? Do you want me to try this? And always come with that helping spirit that shows that you're part of the team and not trying to always shoot them down. So but that's it for now. I think there's a lot more we can only find out when we work on the case itself. But okay, guys, I think that is more than we can handle for this evening. Let's have a prayer together as we wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me these past 3 weeks. May God richly bless you, and let's not stop this. This is so powerful. Let's not just say, that was nice, what's the next program, and then miss all of this value. I hope that something is going to happen from this group and take this to the next level in your experience. Let's close our eyes. Father in heaven, thank you so much for the time that we could have spent. I pray that you will guide and bless everyone that is attended. May your richest blessing be upon them. May we take seriously what you have given us in your word. May we realize that the time is seriously drawing to an end, and that we must be ready for your soon return. Bless our churches, bless our elders, bless our pastors, bless our members, Lord, and gear us up for the great work that is ahead, and even right now in our midst. Help us to take hold of it and do the work of discipling and raising and retaining the people that you have called us to. Bless us to that end. We pray this in your precious name. Amen. Thank you, friends. God bless.